The state tournament in soccer takes place later this week, and McKinney ISD will have a representative there. Hello and welcome to Sports Talk. I'm Tyler Sloan. We have a special treat for you on today's show. I'll be talking with both the boys and the girls soccer coaches from each school. With all 6 teams making the postseason, there's plenty to get to, so let's get the ball rolling. On Sports Talk. Now joined by both coaches from McKinney Boyd soccer program. At the far end is Meagan Wilson, head coach of the girls soccer team, and right next to me is Casey Osborn, the head coach of the boys soccer team at Boyd. And Casey, we'll go ahead and start with you first. It's been a while since we've talked, and I know you had a strong district season. You had 7 wins and 3 ties, no losses in your district season to win another district championship. How tough was that district field this year for your team?
The district was very competitive. Each game was a battle, and you know, like you said, we had three ties, 7 wins. We went undefeated, and that was very nice for the kids because they worked their tails off to try to put them in that position. But more importantly, we got that 1 seed and able to get a pretty good playoff draw and playoff road. But it's one of the toughest districts around, and I thought we represented very well. And you know, that's all I got to say about that, really.
You had one really kind of easy game to start off the playoff run. You took care of Skyline 6-1, very routine. Every game after that, though, was definitely down to the wire. Tyler Lee gave you a good run in that second game. It went to extra time at scoreless, no goals in the game, but you got 2 in extra time. What was the key to finally getting the team to put that ball in the net?
We just kept plugging away. We had control for the most part of that game. Tyler Lee was a very solid ball club, and you know they countered well. But our shot count was very high. It was just, you know, getting a little bit more accurate and just keep plugging and keep shooting. And Hayden Newell did an excellent job of that. He opened up the scoring in the overtime on an absolute brilliant full volley from about 25 yards out, left-footed, and just struck it pure because our keeper was solid. He was a big old boy, and put it over the top of him in the side netting. And then Hayden Brown got on the end of a Cody Spitzer play that, you know, Cody's just excellent with the ball at his feet and freed up Brown and to you know, kind of seal it with a couple minutes left. But we really just had to keep doing what we were doing the whole game except start finishing, and we did.
And Meagan, your team also started out with 2 playoff wins, and it was a 2-0 win over Richardson in the first game, and then a top-ranked team in the area in Saxe that you beat 2-1. And Saxe had taken this team out last year in the playoffs. That was a huge win for your team.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I think the girls definitely were hungry when they went into that game because they had lost last year to Saxe, and they were definitely trying to get over that hump and get to the next round. You know, that game definitely had some adversity that they had to work through. There was a storm that split the game in half, and, you know, just a lot of physical play, a lot of cards. You know, we had to play it over 2 days, Thursday and a Friday, and, you know, so there was a lot of elements that could have played a factor in that game, and the girls didn't let it rattle them. They went out and they played both days, and I was very proud of the way they stepped up and dealt with that. So.
And what was the key for them stepping up and dealing with it when you have a game that's broken up by weather and you're not able to have that, you know, routine that they're used to?
You know, I mean, I think definitely just staying focused on where they wanted to be helped. When we got into the second part of the game on Friday, the first 15 minutes of the first half that we had to finish out, that definitely was a little bit rough, but they kept plowing away, and I mean, definitely were able to get some scoring opportunities even in that first 15 minutes. Both sides actually did. Our goalkeeper stepped up huge that night. Katie Hogarth, she was unreal. She probably had 8 or 9 saves that night that could have gone in the back of the net very easily, and she played unbelievably well for us. And then Sydney Dolzine definitely stepped up again and found the goal off of a header to get us the win that night. So it was a huge game for us, for sure.
Both the girls and the guys teams have great goalkeepers. And Evan Davies, for you, Casey, in the regional semifinal game against the Woodlands, came up huge. He had 17 saves in that matchup. What can you say about your goalkeeper coming up with those big-time saves?
Davies is really coming into his own. He's reaching his potential, and you know, I hate to say that because he's going to be even better next year because he is a junior, but he played outstanding, as well as Blake Bambico's face. He cleared one off the line with his face with about 7 minutes left. Davies had actually, you know, gone out to make a play, and a kid ripped a volley from about 7 yards, and Blake's face was there, thank God. So, but Davies kept us in it. He's gotten so much better on first-time clearances, punching the ball through corners and crosses in the air, and that's a credit to our coaching staff as well. They've worked really, really hard with him, Coach Watson and Coach Kiefer, and he's just very coachable. And you know, the backup goalies are really pushing him as well, Tim Boswell and Michael Ragusa. So it's a very good environment for him to improve, and he's really shining and keeping us in games.
That Woodlands team that you played, they were undefeated on the season. They had one draw, but other than that, all wins, no losses going into that matchup with your team. But you had beaten them the previous year before in the playoffs. How much confidence did that give your team that to go up against an undefeated team and not have that stigma sort of hinder them being nervous against going up against an undefeated team?
We got a lot of respect for the Woodlands. We've played them 5 years. We try to play them every year because that's one of the biggest competitions coming out of the South in our region. Having beat them last year in the same playoff game, the familiarity with it, the experience of that situation, I think was huge for us. I thought they were a lot better team this year, and I thought our kids understood that, and we had a specific coaching plan for that game, something we hadn't done all year, and they did a really good job of fulfilling that and shutting down their hosses up top. They had two really good forwards up top, but the mindset going into the game, I thought it was on point. The kids did a really, really good job.
You've gotten some great goal production from really everyone on your team throughout the playoffs. I think you have about 8 or 9 different scorers in the playoffs. 2 in particular have done well. Cody Spitzer's had 4 in the playoffs. Also 3 goals for Kyle Bennett in the playoffs. And I know Kyle got a goal against Lake Highlands in that final game, in the regional final, 3-1 victory for your team. How much is that production up top helped you throughout the season to, you know, and also with getting goals from everywhere to help out that production up top?
Right, and that's what we needed to do to be successful, was start finding the back of the net more often. And we really like the fact that you can't just focus on one guy. We have several guys that are now stepping up. The cohesion's really, really clicking right now, and the chemistry and the runs off the ball. Cody Spitzer has been very clutch for us. Him and Kyle play the same position. They usually kind of sub for each other. And Kyle, when he comes in, has been an immediate spark. He scored as soon as he came in for the Pierce game. And then he scored the game winner for the Pierce game, and he scored as soon as he came in the regional final against Lake Highlands. And Cody, you know, he set up the goal for the Title League game, and has just been clutch in the Pierce game. He did really well. And obviously the Woodlands, he scored both those goals. And he's just a sophomore, so the sky's the limit for that kid. He's very creative on the ball, and he's been really, really good for us in the playoffs.
And Megan, I know with your team, the run came to the end in the regional quarterfinals. You played McKinney High. You'd seen them twice in district play. What ended up being the deciding factor in that game, as it was 2-2 in regulation and you end up losing in a shootout?
You know, I mean, I don't think you can, you know, lay it down to the PKs as being the deciding factor in that game. There was a lot of different elements that went into that game. Obviously, you have the crosstown rivalry, and the crowd was just insane that night for both sides. You know, the atmosphere was phenomenal for a third-round game. You know, I think there was some hunger on McKinney High's part because they wanted to beat us and they wanted to get past us. And, you know, I think our kids went out and executed and did everything that we asked them to do. You know, I mean, we asked them to try and score early. They scored early. You know, we asked them to try and go out and manage the game as the game went on. And, you know, when you go up 2-1 with 5 seconds left in the first half, you now have to manage a game for 40 minutes in the second half, and that's a long time to kill a game off. And so I had told the kids, you know, before we went out that we had to continue to play, that we couldn't just kill the game off with 40 minutes still on the clock. And so they went out and they continued to play, and they did what we asked them to. And, you know, unfortunately, they got a free kick and put it in the back of the net. You know, I know the girls were disappointed. I know I was disappointed. But I'm so proud of the effort that they put in this year, and I think that will only fuel them going into next year because, you know, sometimes having to learn tough lessons like that gives you the strength that you need to get through further the following year. And I think that definitely will be one of those tough lessons that they'll learn from. So.
And with the players you have coming back, who are you really excited about moving forward with next year of the returning roster?
You know, we've got a great returning roster. Kylie Ross, Taylor Cobb, Sydney Dolzine, all three of them will be back. They will be seniors. You know, that's my center back and my two forwards. So that's three huge pieces of the puzzle for our team, and all three of them will be back and all three of them will be seniors. So there's a little bit of hunger that I think will be associated with that. Avery Hall was a freshman this year. Celia Hill-Sebeck was a freshman this year. That both of them played probably 95% of the minutes all year long. They will be back as sophomores. You know, we have majority of our team coming back, and it's going to be awesome.
Sounds like you've got some good things looking forward. Casey, real quickly before we wrap up, want to talk about this state semifinal game. It's the first state appearance for McKinney Boyd's boys soccer team in the state tournament. You're playing Coppell, a team you lost to back in January 5-1. They're the defending state champions. I think everybody has the expectations Coppell's going to run through the field and win the state tournament. Does that kind of help your team having a little bit of the underdog role going up against Coppell?
We're going to find out. We've been the underdog a couple times now. We haven't got much pub or rankings, and I think it has kind of fueled the fire a little bit. But the game's going to be decided on Thursday, you know, within the lines, and you know, we're just going to have to go at it and prepare and give it our best effort. Coppell's a very solid team, and we're going to play very well to beat them. But we're confident. We know that if we've improved a lot since January. We learned a lot from that game, a whole lot. We learned a lot from January in itself, taking 4 losses in a row. That's just not very common for our team to lose, period. So we took our growing pains and, you know, take it to make us better, and we're looking forward to getting a rematch at them.
Well, both of you, thank you so much for joining us today on Sports Talk. And Casey, good luck to the boys soccer team there at the state tournament. McKinney Boyd's boys teams, they play at Thursday, 4 o'clock in the afternoon against Coppell down in Georgetown, Texas. That's where the state tournament is held, and they'll look to try and bring home a state title to McKinney Boyd.